Denny, with the Cowboys, who do we like as a pass catcher behind CeeDee Lamb, if anybody? Michael Gallup has said he's not going to be ready for the opener. Jalen Tolbert is apparently starting. I mean, we like Dalton Schultz. He's the tight end 6 on Yahoo. He's the tight end 6 and underdog. So kind of like the sharps and like the more conventional crowds are kind of converging on Dalton Schultz. Who do we like as Cowboys pass catchers behind CeeDee Lamb?
I didn't know that they had any receivers behind CeeDee Lamb. So if you give me a moment, I'm going to do some research.
Yeah, here, Cowboys ESPN roster.
Depth chart. Noah Brown is sort of interesting. Last year when I guess the Cowboys had lost Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Gallup, I think for a time on Thanksgiving against the Raiders.
Where they lost as a great Thanksgiving American tradition.
Yes, and a very good game.
It was a good game.
So Brown stepped in as a starter, ran 92% of the routes, caught 6 of his 9 targets for 53 yards. I know that's not anything to write home about, but everything looked solid. Otherwise, he drew a route on 20% of his pass routes in that game. That was second only to Cedric Wilson, who was weirdly dominant in that game.
And then weirdly given a very big contract by the Miami Dolphins.
Just not quite making quite much sense there. But I think Noah Brown would slot in nicely as the wide receiver too, but probably the third pass catcher in the pecking order behind obviously Lamb and Schultz. So really not sure exactly where his targets are going to come from, but I would point to him as the guy.
I mean, do you share any of the Karain, Kyle Dvorak, sicko enthusiasm for Jalen Tolbert, or do you just think it's kind of like we're getting out of our skis with that one? He is a 3rd rounder, so it's not like he's like a 6th rounder.
Yeah.
Any interest in Jalen Tolbert?
Yes. Some interest. And honestly, like, would I take Tolbert over Noah Brown? I might.
Well, I would say you probably should.
I mean, yeah, but
right?
but like I feel
not on
like
some upside. I mean, I don't know where the upside is really going to come from Noah Brown.
No, I mean, career long wise, obviously you're looking at Tolbert as the guy, but from an immediate impact standpoint and how or where you're going to be able to use these guys in fantasy as like a desperation flex in deep formats or something, I could see Brown being possibly a more reliable option who runs more routes as part of the a 2 wide receiver set for as long as Gallup is out now. So I do think he's being overlooked a little bit.
That is fair. He caught almost 20 passes last year. So it's not like he was someone who played and like never caught the ball. I mean, not that we're like hanging a banner over 20 catches.
Right.
But
I will say it in my 4 splits to know article. I mentioned that CeeDee Lamb struggled a bit with Amari Cooper off the field.
Friend of the show, CeeDee Lamb.
Friend of the show, and he expressed a little bit, I would say, of frustration when he talked to us about the Cowboys' offense and how it operated, especially near the end zone. So, look, CeeDee Lamb is obviously very good, and he's going at wide receiver 7, which I don't think is egregious.
His ADP is just kind of his entire career, kind of always outpaced reality.
But from many, I'm going to say something here, and I don't mean to make anybody upset, but like from many standpoints and many measurements, the Cowboys got rid of their best receiver this offseason in Amari Cooper, and Lamb has not thrived with Cooper off the field. I don't know if he's like this alpha force who can just do whatever he wants with opposing secondaries completely focused on shutting him down.
I will say that it's still an open question where we haven't truly seen it, but we wouldn't be shocked if like it does kind of all come together for CeeDee Lamb this year. So it is he's treated in fantasy as a player who has accomplished more than he actually has, but he is still like right there. Like where it should not be surprising. Like if CeeDee Lamb kind of like seals the deal this year, that kind of thing.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I like, for instance, like I mentioned in my piece, if I have to choose, and I often do have to choose between Lamb and Tyreek Hill, I feel way more confident in Tyreek Hill and his role and his dominance as a pass catcher.
That's very interesting. I haven't really been put on the spot with that too much somehow this summer yet. I'm kind of not ever finding myself in that zone. I don't know. That's an interesting one.
I think just as an aside, I think Tyreek Hill's the best receiver in football, period.
Well, he's got, if the game is like a game of special traits, Tyreek Hill's speed is still probably the most special trait at the receiver position.
That's it. Like no one is that fast.
No one is that fast. And nothing is still ultimately more important than, there's more, like route running is more important, but Tyreek's speed is still like the ultimate killer app at the receiver. We'll just end the show real quick. Kind of just tying back into so we don't see any chance that Tony Pollard is going to pass Zeke. I think that ship has kind of sailed. Are we just giving up on that possibility?
Yeah, I mean, not organically. I will not concede even for one moment that the Cowboys will eventually come to grips with Zeke's descent into mediocrity and say, no, we can't do this anymore. We have to start Tony Pollard. We have to get him the majority of the carries. He's our guy. That is not going to happen. So when you draft Tony Pollard in the 8th, you cannot envision that as a realistic scenario. You can't. He could be more involved in the pass game because there's basically no one behind Lamb and Schultz, as we just said. So that could happen, and PPR wise, that could be nice. But it's not. He's not going to just take over. It's going to require an injury.
He was such a good runner last year, but too, he's almost completed an entire rookie contract of just being the pass catching back. And in the NFL, if that label sticks on you for more than 2 or 3 years, it's just it doesn't matter how good of a runner you are. You can ask Duke Johnson, like, you are just a pass catching back.
That's right.
And it seems like Tony Pollard has fallen into this. Any final thoughts on the Cowboys, or we wrap up this show, Denny?
No, I mean, Pollard, just to speak on Pollard for a second, he was really good as a rusher last year in limited capacity. I don't know how that changes if he gets a bigger workload. That does tend to change things for guys who are used to seeing 5 or 6 carries in a game and suddenly see 15. Things can change. But I'm okay with his ADP, but I'm not thrilled about it. I will say that.
Yeah. So Dallas Cowboys, for years, the past couple of years, just like overflowing with fantasy relevance. Just doesn't look that way this year.